10,000 top elite North Korean troops are sent to eastern Russia, where they undergo extensive military training. And they are then transported to Kursk, once ready for combat. These North Korean soldiers are stationed on the front lines to fight Ukrainians alongside Russia. However, they are allegedly used as bait by the Russians. According to a wounded Korean soldier who lost his 40-man unit, he claims they were deceived by the Russians into sacrificing themselves in the battlefield, ultimately causing the squad to get wiped out by the Ukrainian drones. North Korea, a country with no direct stake in the war, suddenly gets involved despite the massive language barrier between Russia and Korea. So the question is, what's in it for them? What kind of incentives would drive Kim Jong-un to risk the lives of his soldiers, not to mention his reputation on the global stage, only to engage in a war that has nothing to do with him or his nation? The story begins with whispers and strange sightings. Examining satellite pictures of Russia, we find odd troop movements and formations not seen elsewhere. Then come intelligence agency reports and eyewitness accounts, all of which highlight one startling fact. North Korean troops have arrived in Russia. Intelligence agencies from South Korea and the United States rapidly validate the news. Not only a handful of troops, we are discussing over 10,000 North Korean troops, including high-ranking officials and some of the most elite units in the country. Now, when we enlarge the map, these men are not merely lounging about the sidelines. Many are stationed in the Kursk area of Russia, directly on the front lines of the fighting in Ukraine. But why lately? Thousands of miles apart from their country, North Korean soldiers are suddenly fighting in a war seemingly unrelated to them. Why are they doing this? Timing for Russia is absolutely vital. Russia sorely needs more people since economic sanctions are straying the nation's resources and its military is thinly manned. They used allies or private military groups in the past, but North Korea's involvement is entirely different. Though foreign, the North Korean troops are known for their great discipline, drive, and extreme loyalty. These troops could provide Russian officials with exactly the reinforcement they need in a drawn-out conflict getting more difficult daily. For North Korea, the reasons are more complex, though. Kim Jong-un would not make a hasty decision to send troops so far from home. It is a dangerous and expensive action, particularly since it directly opposes Western nations. What then stands in it for North Korea? Let us investigate more closely. Examining the global political scene, one theory holds that Kim Jong-un sees this alliance as a chance to land a strong ally in Russia. Supporting Moscow during its time of need will help North Korea expect Russia's allegiance and support in the next conflicts. Having Russia as a trustworthy friend could have great strategic advantages for a nation as isolated and strongly sanctioned as North Korea. Here, though, things get considerably more intriguing. There are rumors that Russia is offering advanced military technologies in exchange rather than merely requesting troops. For years, North Korea has been working to expand its nuclear arsenal and create more potent missile systems. Should the Kremlin indeed be offering technical support, Pyongyang may at last be acquiring knowledge it would not have otherwise access to. Imagine what might happen should North Korea acquire more potent ballistic missiles or perhaps tiny nuclear weapons. East Asian countries, including Japan, South Korea, and even the United States, would face fresh challenges as the balance of power changed. For many in the international community, this alliance has thus already caused concerns. Now, on great alert, Western analysts and diplomats are closely observing for any indication that Russian technology may be arriving in North Korea. Not only about weapons here either. Agreements for intelligence sharing could allow North Korea access to Western military tactics, electronic warfare methods, and cyber capabilities, arming it with insightful knowledge. This is a complicated trade-off with effects on world security, not only a simple troop exchange. Now, if we refocus on the front lines, this alliance is already having effects, confirming that North Korean soldiers are not only present, but also actively fighting in Kursk. According to reports, Ukrainian forces have targeted North Korean units. Casualties among these troops are claimed. This scenario begs important issues. Could North Korea's engagement cause more nations to get involved in the conflict? The United States has already sent a strong warning, declaring that any North Korean troops discovered engaged in combat will be handled as official targets, with U.S. and allied forces closely observing the matter and ready for any possible fallout. This has heightened tensions even more. Let's look at South Korea in the meantime. For them, this growth especially worries them. It is quite disturbing to consider a militarized, more strong North Korea with improved Russian capability. Recently, South Korean officials and EU diplomats openly expressed their concerns, implying that Russia might be passing delicate nuclear and missile technology to North Korea. Should this be the case, North Korea might be one step closer to acquiring a nuclear arsenal capable of reaching Pacific allies or territory under United States control. This timing is particularly interesting since it falls around the U.S. presidential election. Russia and North Korea could both find this to be the ideal opportunity to test American will and the solidarity among its allies. Recently, North Korea even started a series of ballistic missile launches from the east coast of the Korean peninsula, an action Russian officials justified as a required reaction to allegedly U.S. provocations. This missile launch makes a clear statement about North Korea's military preparedness, as well as its readiness to employ that might. Russia's support of these missile tests emphasizes the strength of their alliance and suggests shared policies capable of upsetting East Asia. What then does North Korea gain from following Russia? For Kim Jong-un, this is a rare opportunity to highlight how his nation shapes world events, dispelling some of the isolation that has defined North Korea for years. North Korea makes a strong statement by actively supporting one of the most important conflicts in the world. It is no longer a mute spectator. This calculated action provides Pyongyang with leverage, a negotiating chip it might apply in the next talks with the United States and its allies. Should North Korea establish its presence in Europe, it may be in a better position in negotiations near its own country. This alliance is already having ripple effects felt far and wide, particularly in view of the likelihood that Russia might be providing vital military technology to North Korea. NATO, the United Nations, and several Asian countries are reviewing their defense stances. Particularly Japan has expressed grave worries and demanded more monitoring of North Korean activities, together with stricter sanctions. Should North Korea acquire advanced missile technology or nuclear capability, nations like Japan and South Korea may have no option except to strengthen their own defenses, thus igniting a regional arms race. Every party engaged clearly has a strategic goal in this game as we enlarge back out to the greater picture. North Korea yearns for the technology and political clout Russia can provide, while Russia needs its people. And both countries consider this a special chance to challenge their common enemies. Unexpected as it may be, this alliance is based on mutual gains that could not only influence the course of the war in Ukraine, but also fundamentally alter the world balance of power in ways we can only now begin to grasp. Thus, keep a close eye on these alliances and the changes in power they produce as this narrative plays out on the global scene, since this is far more than just military cooperation. But otherwise, comment down below what you think of this entire situation.